how old is Batman? If John is in his 40s.
50s.
Okay, this makes sense. Yeah, how old is Vixen?
Oh, she old too. They all
I guess we
old.
can.
All the leaders are old. Like, I think if that is one thing that DC has been very consistent to like let you know is that the league is old.
Damn,
And that's
I was gonna say the youngest one was like 32. Nobody's like younger than 30.
Who's 32?
You know,
Supergirl?
who's yeah, like Supergirl's like 30.
Okay, Supergirl. But like when you get to the people above her, Clark and them, they 50s.
They 50. Yeah.
They're like
Clark is
again.
Emma's age.
All right, hello, and welcome back to another Relaunch. Everyone, we're your hosts. I am Sinister Kyle, aka the Master Thief Catwoman.
Ooh, and I am Mara McKelvie, bad bitch herself, Miss Vixen.
Yes, the model. We love to see it.
Yes,
How are you doing?
You know, I am great. I am not well rested, but I am great.
Okay.
I ended up going out with a friend last night, and that just turned into
you had a good time.
Had a great time. Had a good time.
That's all that matters.
Yeah. How are you?
I love that. I'm doing good. I started watching this new show on Netflix called The Physical 100. It's an athletic competition based in Korea, and it's been like really interesting to watch because I always talk about I love test of endurance. So shows like Endurance that used to come on back in the day, Wipeout, The Floor is Lava, American Gladiator, all those kind of things. I'm really
classic. American Gladiator was a classic.
Yeah, all of those things. So I really like to watch it, and this one's really cool. Mostly because a lot of them are like bodybuilders. I'm not gonna lie, you can tell a lot of these people are on steroids, but they're doing what needs to be done. So the first 2 episodes of that came out, and it's been really cool. So I've been into that, and I'm also thinking about getting some new tattoos. So I've been like kind of workshopping some ideas for that. I have a couple that have been locked in the vault that I feel like I need to kind of let loose on. So I want to get those because they're smaller, but there are some bigger ones that I've been contemplating, and I just need to get them drawn out and like find out where I want them placed on my body. If I want them in like nice concealed spaces, or if I want to be a little risque, so I can wear something tight and small out during the summer.
I like that. I like that. I really want to get a sleeve tattoo, and also there's a thigh tattoo.
Oh my gosh, I've been thinking about a thigh tattoo. Like I really want one, but I just don't know what I want to put on my thigh.
I have an idea for what I want to put on my thigh. I'm not gonna say what it is though.
You shouldn't. Keep it to yourself. Keep them all to yourself, because someone will take your idea and then pop out with your tattoo, and you're gonna be mad.
And just like it'll be a nice surprise for whoever sees it in real life. Like, oh, I got this too.
Okay. Okay. I respect that as well. That's a good one. So that's all I've got going on. Tattoos and TV. That's my life.
Period. That's great. All right, well, let's go ahead and get into the updates of the week. We actually don't have any this week. There wasn't too much going on. There's going to be a bunch of announcements, allegedly, from James Gunn and Peter Safran from the DC side. They had said that, January, where they were going to come and tell everyone about like the slate of movies that they had planned out. We'll actually see what that ends up becoming and who ends up sticking around for what. And then we also seen on the Marvel side, there were some people, I think there was some casting rumors and stuff are going around. But again, let me know if y'all want to.
A girl got cast, didn't she? An Asian girl got cast in Armor Wars?
Yes, she did.
Yeah.
But that was a rumor. It wasn't like...
Oh, it wasn't like confirmed.
Yeah.
No. If it's true, I think she'll be Susie Endo. Cybermancer.
Yeah. I liked her.
I like that. I read the War Machine series like years ago. It was written by Greg Pak. It was during like the Dark Reign era, I think it was, and it
Mhm.
was fine. It's kind of the thing that
Yeah,
honestly
that
made me
series was all
realize.
right.
It made me realize that I don't think I like Rhodey as much as I thought I did.
Oh my God. I read that same series and thought the same thing.
And I was just like,
I was like, you don't got
I was
it.
like, maybe he's not the character for me. But I do remember Susie being in that book, and like that was my first big
Mhm.
introduction to her. So I thought that like if that's true, I think that'll be a cool casting.
That is so wild that you had that same epiphany because I was reading that and that was before we knew each other. Um,
Yeah,
and I
that
definitely was
he
like,
just.
oh, I don't think this is for me.
I was like, oh, and like I have been lying to people like, oh, Wolverine is one of my favorite characters. He's got this book coming out, da, 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 like, and then I was reading, I was like, oh, I was like, is this who this is?
And it's wild because it didn't feel like off for War Machine. It didn't feel like this was
It
out of
didn't.
character. This
It
felt like
felt
that's
like,
who he
oh, this is
is.
a War Machine book. I was like, oh, this is like Rhodey. This is who he is. This is Tony's best friend. I don't know. Like that should have let me know because none of my faves are like Tony's.
Yeah. I also don't think I really get into the art characters that much
I
for me
I
personally.
I like a tech character. I don't think I like a tech suit character.
Mm. Well, we were talking about a couple later. How you feel about the Steelworks people, Natasha and John?
Well, I like them,
Mm. They got
but
suits.
their suits are kind of different though. I feel like with the Iron Man suits, they do a lot of like transformation and like pulsars and beams and all that kind of stuff. Stealing them, like we got the basics to give us some strength, and then I got my hammer.
Yeah. What about Natasha? She had powers for a while, which I thought those were really cool. Um,
I did not like Natasha with powers. I appreciated the storyline that it had with like Lex Luthor and like all that thing. Remember when he pushed that button and took away all those people's powers and they died? That is an
yeah,
evil
nasty.
man right there. But so like that whole part of when she was a part of that program and like got the powers that I thought like that was interesting, but I wasn't really a fan of the light power she had during that time. I do like her in her steel suit.
Yeah. The steel suit is cool. I think I
Yeah.
just wish that she had powers. But that's just me. Y'all know I love an energy power person. It is what it is. But anyway, yeah, there were some rumors about some castings, but like I said, I'll try to keep the rumors to a minimum until things are completely confirmed. Unless y'all want me to become like more of a scooper, you let me know. I do keep my
Yeah,
ear to.
we love scoops. Keep
There
them
was a
hush
little
in
bit
the
of
know.
tea. My boy Wonder Man's filming has been moved up. He was going to start filming in Atlanta in April, but now he will be there. I think they started filming in March. So we'll definitely be seeing some set pics from that come
Hmm.
up. That should be really cool. I'm excited for that.
That should
Um,
be exciting. I think Blade's supposed to start filming around that time too.
yeah. So hopefully we
We'll
see some
see.
like
You know
set
they've been
photo
playing for
pics
him.
and all that. I wonder what they're going to do with him. You think they're going to do the bloodline or
I don't even know how I feel about Bloodline yet, so I don't think that I'm ready to see that in the media. But did you see? Did you see
sorry?
that the villain from the first Blade movie was like talking trash about this one that's coming up? He's like, I can't even find a director. Like the movies suck. I'm tired of Marvel. And it's like, sir, nobody's thinking about you. Be calm. And it's crazy because the last thing he did was True Crime Detective season 3 that had Mahershala in it
Nasty.
for no reason.
That to me
And that
sounds
is
like
why.
he was asking to be called back for the Blade. This time he was like, "Oh, I worked with Mahershala. I was in the first Blade. Maybe they gonna want to bring me back to the
They
MCU. I can
said,
get that
who?
MCU check." And the email bounced back. They say they don't work no more. So
He said, sir, we think you have the wrong number. Call somebody else. But nonetheless, that was going on. That's funny. But we'll see how that happens. I really do kind of hope they stick with. I saw something that said it's supposed to be a period piece, like takes place in the 1920s, and
oh, that'd be
we'll see
interesting.
kind of we'll see kind of how it goes on with that. So we'll see. I don't know.
Black Blade in the 1920s.
I know that's exactly what I said. I was like, I
I
don't know.
don't know. I don't.
I don't want to hear no slurs in my Marvel movie.
I don't know about that one. There was a rumor about the Fantastic Four being not from the 60s, but trapped in the 60s in their movie.
That sounds right for them.
So then that way they can probably cast a multicultural Fantastic Four, but still do it. Oh, they're from the 60s because they are back there. Again, these are all rumors, so who knows what's going to be true. We'll see as it comes. Keep your shades to yourself. Fantastic Four are doing
I
great.
didn't say anything. I didn't say.
Just letting everybody know the four are doing fine. Okay.
We're happy for them and their success in their upcoming movie.
Exactly. And on that note, let's go ahead and take a break and we'll come right back.
Cool. Me. All right. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the comic section of the show. And it's been a good little week for the comic books. I must say I had some really interesting, good books on my pool. So a couple of quick mentions for the week. Justice Society #2 came out. This wasn't one of the good books. It was fine. It was fine. I'm a big
Pretty
Justice
art's great. I
Society
like the
fan.
Michael Janin.
The art, his art is like fantastic, but I don't know. John's just not here for me this go around on this time. But I'm gonna stick around for a few more issues to see what it gives. Midnight Suns #5 came out this week. That book concluded. Honestly, maybe my pulls were a little bit more of a mixed bag than I thought. Because I didn't really enjoy like this. The first two issues of this series I was like really into, and I think after that it kind of tapered off. The ending wasn't really satisfying. Agatha became young full time. It's very much giving MCUification of her. And
Oh, she's like, that was full time now?
Yeah, she's young now.
Oh. The MCU synergy truly is undefeated.
Yeah, that's her thing. She like dies in the issue, and then like at the end she comes back and she's still in her young form. She's like, I'm here, da 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 da, whatever. It's just so she could look like Catherine Hahn. I don't like it. And then the girl told me the book is supposed to be about.
The little black girl.
Yeah, like I really want to root for her. She's a little black girl doing magic. She gives you like nothing. So we'll see how that goes. But the Magic Order 4 #1 came out. The Magic Order is a book that I've been following. It's been having a couple different volumes. This is the 4th collection of the series. The first issue of that came out. That was actually hot. Dyke Ruin, who used to do the art for Shang-Chi, is now doing the art for this book, and he is killing it. He's got a little bit of a Quapel feel. And basically a bunch of people are coming to kill the members of the order. So like throughout the entire issue, they're magically getting taken down. And it's really interesting and creative in the ways that it happened. There's this one panel where this guy's actually watching TV and the TV starts talking to her. They're like, Eddie, hey, look over here. He looks at the TV, they like shoot him through. And it was like, oh, that's badass. Yeah, it was like, oh, it's given. So that came out as well. But getting into some of our main books, this is kind of where the pull started to get back on the uptick, and it was good. #1 on our list is Action Comics #1051, and that comes from McKelvie Johnson and Rafa Sandoval. There were also two backups a part of this book because it is a supersized issue. One was by Dan Jurgens and Lee Weeks. It was about Superman, John, and Lois on a trip coming back to Metropolis. And then there was the second one from Leah Williams and Marguerite Sauvage about Powergirl, guest starring Lilith Clay Jupiter, The Omen. But the main book of this series, it has followed, Superman's come back from War. They're talking about Metropolis and how they discovered how they discuss time being before Superman arrived and after Superman arrived, and how there was kind of this uptick on crime, and you could start to notice the difference in the city, but one thing always stayed the same, and that was the wind. You'd feel this gust of wind, and that's how you would see a boy falling from a tree, but then all of a sudden he was in his parents' arms, or you'd see a cat on top of something, and all of a sudden it was back home where it needs to be, and that's how you know that Superman kind of was around. And as things were picking back up, now he's got all of these people with him. We've got Superboy, we've got John, Supergirl, Keenan, Natasha, Steele, all of them. We go back to the home. Oh, and the two little kids, Olsen and Awful. Well, I don't know if I like them that much yet, but we'll get into that also.
Yeah.
We get back to
I have an opinion about them, but we'll get there.
At the Kent house, And we kind of see all of the super fam together, and Clark is doing his speech about how times have changed, and while he does still believe that humanity can fix itself, they need a little bit of help, and that's why they're launching Steelworks with Natasha and John Henry kind of as the faces of the company and leading everything. On the flip side of that, we have Natalia, who's running around going crazy, and Lex is in his head telling him that he needs to do what he needs to do. We get to the launch of Steelworks, and the super family is out there. John and Natasha are giving their speech about what it represents. We notice that Superman is missing, and that is because Clark Kent is in the field doing his reporter thing. Superboy notices that something seems off. So when he goes up to check on it, we see Metallo, who has been attacking guards and is kind of in the place. He blows up the structure, and he is ready to cause havoc and damage, and that's where the issue ends. And it was really good. PKG continues to knock it out of the park on this title and convert people to the Superman family. I know someone who was talking about how they picked this issue up specifically for, they actually picked it up for the Powergirl backup, but they were telling me, oh, this issue, like, they were like, has this always been this good? And I was like, yes.
Yes.
But it's always been this good, yes.
It's truly been great, y'all. Pick it up. Action Comics has been a fantastic run. Y'all have heard me on this podcast so far continuously say that I was a Superman hater before reading this, and now I'm in the fam. I got a Superman shirt. I'm all for the super fam. I love the shot of all of them together. Connor looks great in his jacket. I like it that everybody else got jackets too. And this
I don't like that
Kanan
got his fade. I still wish he had a little bit of his long hair.
Yeah, I feel like they did that because in action
everybody
shots from afar, they all look the same.
They all got the same hair.
They all got the same face. so
like, I feel like Connor would have been the one to get the buzz cut out of anybody.
I feel like you're trying to take him back to his Titans era with that T-shirt.
I'm just saying. I like the
fade. Let's keep the fade.
It's a look he's had. It's consistent, so we'll see. But that's me. That's my own thing.
Yeah. I really enjoyed this issue a lot. It really feels like a jumping on point for anyone kind of jumping into the super fam who didn't, hop on during the whole War World saga before. I also have a theory that these two twins, in my opinion, are an example of Philip Kennedy Johnson really like making something work and telling a story that he probably really wanted to tell, but still within the confines of the universe. Now, follow me.
Okay, I'm walking.
We know that Superman and Lois had their son, and then he had this whole Super Sons thing with him and Damian, and then all of a sudden, he was like 17, 18 years old, got aged up, right? And we missed out on a lot of like the dad
parenting,
the parenting stuff. And I think by using these super twins, you're able to give not only Clark and Lois this parental story of them being like parents to young kids, you also get to give, and we kind of saw hints of it in this issue, like this like kind of jealousy, where do I fit in now with my family from John Kent. So I think that like it's a really true testament to the way that Billy Kennedy Johnson is like making it all kind of work and still like push everybody forward without like taking away from the past. He could have easily, had John run through some portal or something and make him young again.
No, that's true, and I can agree with that as well. I do think that the little hint of John with Natasha asking him like, "How you feeling? Your parents didn't tell you were adopting these kids," and he was like, "No, they did." But I guess I just didn't realize it was like actually happening and like hearing it.
right. It was like, well, they was gonna like go home after a while.
He was like, "Oh, they told me," but I guess I thought that was really interesting, and we'll kind of see how that goes. I think it'll again agree that it'll give Clark and Lois that chance to actually like have those parental moments and raise the kids, and we'll see how that goes. I'm interested. I think this is something that kind of makes John a little bit interesting. Well, more interesting.
Yeah.
Well, interesting. I didn't think he was that interesting before. So
you could say that. That's true. This is the safe space. This is the truth. He did not. He was boring.
Yeah, that goes for him. I still don't know if I'm going to collect any of the other Superman books that are going on or how they're going to connect, but I definitely know I will be sticking with Action Comics for sure.
Definitely. And I actually also enjoyed the middle backup by Jurgens and like the story about like young John in their old house where he was with them and
Hmm.
during that time where he was still a kid, and we kind of get to see a little bit of this and the whole story with the um Doomsday Bone and how he saw it and
Hmm.
decided to sneak it off because he's actually kind of smart as a kid. He's like he really picks up
Apparently,
on a lot of stuff. Um
it lost it as he got older.
truly. Um he's just a little bit less focused, I guess. Doesn't that happen to us all, you know?
It does. It does.
uh,
So it was cool. It was cool. I thought the issue itself was like really good though. Definitely like a 4.5 out of 5. Sandoval's art was amazing. I love seeing his stuff
oh
again.
my gosh, Sandoval is on my like top 5 list. He is definitely one of my
Okay.
favorites. He sits right next to Bruno Redondo and Daniel Samperi for me.
Period.
He's awesome.
Period. Kings. I love it. What would you rate the issue?
Definitely a 4.5 out of 5.
Okay. Sweet. All right. Well, next up on our list was another banger of a book. It was Batman One Bad Day. This was the issue focused on Catwoman. So, a couple of heroes have been getting these. The Riddler had one that was also really good. This one is written by G. Willow Wilson and it has art from Janin McKelvie. So,
Oh,
I was
hi.
all in. I was like, yeah, I'm picking this up. But nonetheless, it's just a story, a little one and done. Catwoman, I got to tell a little bit disjointed. So basically, when Catwoman was a kid, her mom had her and her sister, they went to this pawn shop, and her mom had this brooch that she got from her mother that she got in Paris during like World War II. Apparently, it was supposed to be this really special brooch that meant things when the Nazis occupied Paris and very valuable. The guy's like, this isn't real. It's worth like $200. He takes it, she takes it, they go their separate ways. We get down to the present, and Selena has discovered that this brooch is actually being auctioned off, and it's apparently worth a bunch of money, like $20 million, something like that. So she's like, well, I'm going to go steal it.
I mean, I see the
Um,
logic.
and so like and throughout the issue she's kind of just like there's this internal monologue and narration and just discussing why she steals and talking about like how she grew up poor and like the system and capitalism, and we see things like as she's walking throughout Gotham, people are protesting in the streets with signs like eat the rich and things like that. They're going up against the cops, and it's just like a really good dissection on her character and how she gets to where she does. So she gets to this auction where they're having this big event and they're doing all these things. She runs into this woman while she's admiring the brooch, and the woman kind of gives her some history on the brooch that she didn't know about before, making it seem that more valuable. Selena does, while she's actually there, she sees Bruce, which was kind of funny. Like she's walking through the crowd and he just like peeks up at her. She's like, oh my God. So she keeps on moving. Um, she steals the brooch. And when she does it, she like calls her sister the next day, and she's about to tell her like, I got this brooch back that mom thought was worthless. It's actually worth a lot of money. Maggie is kind of like, what does it matter? What does having this brooch now do for us, and how does it help mom? Like, it didn't mean anything when we were younger. It don't mean anything now. And Selena's like, this is what being poor does to you. She was like, but nonetheless,
Okay.
I'm still gonna find a way. So she takes it to her own jeweler. Her jeweler tells her this is fake. She's like,
Hmm.
no, that can't be, all of this stuff. She comes to realize that the woman who she met at the auction was actually a con woman herself. And she knew the thing was fake and that she was playing Selena the whole time. And so Selena's like, I'm not one to get played. So she goes to try and
She's
track
not that
down the
bright.
woman. Okay. And so when she finally tracks the woman down, who shows up but Bruce? Bruce is like, I've already been tracking this lady. She's been stealing, she's been selling fake artifacts for like however many years, getting away with it. Selena's like, so she's been doing this for 20 years or however long, and you just happen to pop out on the day where I go to find her. She was like,
I was like, nah, her man got to come save the day.
and she was like, you're following me and you need to stop. He's like, no, I've been tracking her. He's like, if you go after her today, you're only doing it to like help yourself. He's like, if you give me a few more days, I'm going to take her down. It's going to help a lot more people. She's like, are you going to stop me? He's like, I'm not going to stop you, but I'd like you to not do it. And she's just like, okay. And she goes to do it.
I expected that. Yes.
But they do have like a really hot moment up there, and like they kiss, and like she's like, we need to stop or we're gonna be up on this rooftop for hours. And he's like, oh,
I
I
love
don't have a
rooftop
problem
child.
with that. I was like, y'all are nasty. But they have the moment.
This
So
is
she goes
like
to
in Action
confront the woman.
Comics with Superman and Lois, and her keeping
They're freaks.
his costume, and her
Oh,
always talking
his
about like
suit
they
from War
fucking.
World with the chains. Oh, they're freaks. They're all freaks, old freaks. But she goes to confront the con woman. They kind of get into a tussle. She realizes this lady's a little bit stronger than she appears to be. She's faster than she appears to be. She can fight. Selena's giving like her commentary on fighting about like how it's similar to dancing. And I'm like, ooh, that's what I'm talking about. Show that the doll knows what she's doing. The girl still kind of beats her
You
up
swear she a
though.
fighter.
She is. You do not want her to be a fighter, and I do not know why.
I do not see it, but her
And
as
I
a
do not
fighter.
know why. She is a master martial artist. Nonetheless, the girl kind of beats her up anyway. And she tells Selena, while it's funny because while they're fighting, the woman's kind of psychoanalyzing her. She's like, now that you know that the brooch is fake, does it mean less to you? Does like the importance or the value of what you thought it meant all about your family and all that stuff, does it matter? She's like, and why is that? And Selena's like, oh, and then she pushes her off her. She gives her a nice little black eye. She tells Selena, she's like, don't come after me. She's like, it won't be good for you. Think of me as competition, actually. She's like, you're not the only thief in town anymore. And she goes on by her way. Bruce comes out the shadows like, I want to say I told you so, but I'm not. And she's like, now I know you're following me. He's like, this time I am. And they have a cute little moment. He tells her to put a stake on her eye, and she says, does that work? And he says, as long as it's an expensive one. So come over tonight and I'll give you an expensive steak. And she's like, I got to do something first. So she goes to call her sister.
I bet she folded though. I bet by the end of it, she still went back over there.
No, she told him she's going to be there. She's like, are you going to be? She says, he says, am I going to see you tonight? She says, are you going to be good? I'm sorry. She asks if you're good. He says, oh, so I'll see you tonight.
Oh, that's right.
And
Oh,
that
I
was,
would have folded.
and that was kind of that. So the issue ends off with her calling her sister to just be like, hey, I want to talk to you about whatever. But like there's narration about how she's just been having a really, really bad day. And it was just a really good Selena story. The art was spectacular. McKelvie killed it. Like the panels of her fighting guards, the panels of her like going through vents and sneaking into the auction, her going through and she's doing her stuff. She's talking about her craft and thievery and how it's dramatic, and we see her doing different things like infiltrating. She goes from a waitress to like a patron at the party to like Catwoman to get out, and it's just all really good stuff. I think the girl, she calls herself Forger, even though Bruce is saying he's gonna take her down in a couple days, I wouldn't be mad if she stuck around and popped back up in some of the current Catwoman books to be like her antagonist, because I do think Selena needs a little competition. It was a hot moment. She told her, she was like, don't come over here, you don't want these problems, you just know I'm out here and I can take what you want. And I was like, yeah, that's what she needs, somebody to apply pressure. Now she's in prison in her main book, so whatever. But all in all, I would give this another like 4.5. Like really great stuff. I think if you have been enjoying the One Bad Day one shots, this is another one to definitely add to the collection. It's really good. If you have not picked this one up, it's good. And then maybe even check out some of the other ones. Again, the Riddler was really good, but you know I like the Riddler too. Him and Selena are like up there for me.
Yeah, I like the Riddler. He cool.
And then our final book on the list was the new number one. It is Sins of Sinister number one, and that comes from Kieran Gillen and art by Lucas Wernick. And this is starting off the Sins of Sinister event for the X books. You should read Sins of Sinister. It was like a fine number one issue. All right, so for those who don't know, Sinister has been
Boring.
having his moment, and this is kind of the outcome of him. I think I remember I told you when I read Immortal last week, we dealt with him killing members of the Council, Hope, Emma, Exodus, Xavier. When he came back, we realized that Sinister had spiked some of his DNA in them, so they had become Sinister of their own volition. This is now taking that on to the next level. We see basically what has started to happen as Sinister has infected pretty much all of Krakoa with his own DNA and has started to take over these people. And then he's introduced this genes that has been introduced to humans so they can have their own temporary X gene, and is setting into all these plays in motion. They end up
Giving out
attacking.
X-Genes?
Yeah, giving them out, making people feel good to help them like live forever and deal with immortality. Um, they deal with Orcus and partner with the Avengers to take them down. They start to work with all these other people and just complete their goals. You see the X-Men under Sinister now acting a little bit bad, what they're actually able to accomplish. The only one who isn't a Sinister is Storm. And so as they start to do all these things, Storm kind of calls them out and she's like, this Nightcrawler here is not my Nightcrawler. What's going on? They reveal themselves to be Sinister people. She has a really cool moment where she calls them abominations. She basically destroys the council room. She flies off to Peru. She's like, it's time for war. Destiny and Mystique pop back up and they're like, no, we need to win this. We got to be smart about it. So they go about their way. After that, we continue to see more things that the Sinister folks have done. They have destroyed Asgard. Sebastian Shaw is now the king of hell and like kind of controls resurrections. They killed Thanos. They've done a lot of really effective things. And by the end of it, Sinister's kind of saying how he wants to go forward with his own plans, but those other X-Men, Xavier, Hope, Exodus, Emma, they've got their own plans, which kind of shows that even though these people have the gene in them to be Sinister, they're not really Sinister himself. They're still themselves and have their own ideals. They're just
a Sinister version of it.
Exactly. And with that, Sinister's like, okay, playing the game. He's like, I'm gonna get out of this. So he goes down to his lab so he can find his Moiras and like reset the timeline and like do whatever he needs to do. Finds out the lab is gone, and so are all the Moiras. And he's apparently trapped in this universe.
Oh no.
And so that's where the kind of books divulge. We'll see in the Nightcrawler series with Nightcrawler and like why there are all these various ones. Because again, as we see the different futures, we start to like kind of go like 10 years in the future. We see that people are going against the Sinister gene and saying like, oh, we need to go here and do this. People are kidnapping them. Storm is going to be leading the revolution against the Sinisters, Storm and the Brotherhood. And what's the other book that's coming out? Immoral X-Men, which will probably deal with more council stuff and this crew that's taking it. Xavier looked really good in his little black bodysuit. So Wernick's art is really good. I've said some things about his art before. I think he's always put a really big emphasis on drawing pretty people, which like I get everybody loves pretty people, but I think a lot of the page suffer. I feel like here now reading this, it's starting to improve. You can see that his panel layouts are really good. It feels like he's putting a lot of focus on making a pretty page, a pretty and effective page, rather than just drawing pretty people standing around. So that was nice to see. I would also give this issue a 4 out of 5. And I think if you're interested in Sinister or like you're kind of into alternate realities, things that are going on, this will be something that you want to pick up. I can't guarantee that I will be following the rest of the event. I'm not going to lie to you. I might just wait for the rest to hit Marvel Unlimited, but I did at least want to pick up this first issue to see kind of what it gave. And it was written well. It's a Gillen book, though. You don't expect it to be like badly written.
Yeah, no. Yeah. He's not a bad writer.
He's not. But those are the books of the week. I think
I have no comments. I didn't read that. I know that's not for me. So I'll tap back into the X books later on. But moving on into the AR Club for the week. This week, we basically finished off the rest of the season for season 1 of Justice League Unlimited. If you are still watching or still able to watch the rest of the seasons, please do. It's a great show. But you know, HBO Max, who knows what's happening right now with them, and this is going to be off of their service soon.
You know they canceled Doom Patrol and Titans.
Well,
I'm heartbroken. Like I'm devastated.
You thought they were going to get renewed?
Why wouldn't they?
You watch it. You should tell me why wouldn't they?
That's what I'm trying to figure out because they're quality television.
Oh no. Oh,
I don't know what the I don't know what you're trying to say.
Electric shock from tasers?
Well, no one liked Donna, so that was fine.
Oh, that's fair.
Especially Doom Patrol. Doom Patrol was like excellent.
I've heard that was good, but again, I've seen clips and it's just maybe not for me.
I'm heartbroken. I'm devastated.
Good luck to all those actors, though. I know some people have been fan casting to see I cannot think of her name. Starfire.
Anna Diop?
Yes, Anna Diop as Storm. And I've also seen people say that Brandon Thwaites, I think how they pronounce his last name, Nightwing.
Oh, should be Cyclops.
Cyclops, yeah.
I've seen those fan casts as well. I do like Anna Diop as Storm. She would kill it. I don't think it would happen, but I do think I would support it
Right,
if it
same.
happened.
Yeah. I don't know if it would happen, but
And
I would. She's got my support.
agreed. Beautiful woman.
Stunning. She eating the white wig too.
She would.
She would. Okay, but getting back to Justice League Unlimited. All right, so episode 9 was the ultimatum episode, and this was the interesting because they used these group called the Ultimen, which were, I think, their analogs for the Super Friends, basically, which I thought was kind of cool. I've always found it interesting when I think DC does this the most, whenever they can kind of like pay homage to all their like really old stuff from like the 40s and 50s by like just kind of reusing it somehow. And I know that the Ultimate, like, and Long Shadow was Apache Chief. I think that Juice character is supposed to be Black Lightning. He's supposed to be Vulcan, I think was his
Black Vulcan.
Black Vulcan. Yeah.
Did you ever see the spoof they did on that cartoon?
No.
And they were talking about Black Lightning, and he was talking about how he picked his name, and he said Aquaman was like, "Oh, you should call yourself Black Lightning," and he was like, "Well, why would you call yourself White Fish?" I would never forget watching that. That was like the funniest thing ever, because he was saying how he just wanted his name to be Vulcan. But
Exactly.
they were like, no, call yourself Black Vulcan. And he's like, what?
That is funny. Was this like SNL or something?
I don't remember. I'm gonna have to look it up and then I'll like tweet it. But I distinctly remember it was like a spoof. They had like Apache Chief on there. It was all of them. It was really funny though.
That's hot. And this episode was also the story was by Dwayne McDuffie, and the teleplay was by J.M.D. Mateus.
Rest in peace.
Yes, rest in peace. But this episode has the Justice League meeting the Ultimen, and they're these like young team, and they discover that they have been clones, and they've been cloned by Cadmus, Amanda Waller, and Professor Hamilton, and they've learned that they only have a short time to live, and basically they take out all their frustration on the entire Cadmus people as well as the Justice League when they come, and by the end of it, Long Shadow decides to leave Cadmus and stick with the Justice League. And goes off with Superman, Wonder Woman, Batman, Aquaman. This was a fun episode. Like I said, I think it's really cool that they were trying to find a way to give an homage to those Super Friends characters, and use these Ultramen again. Aquaman was fun. He's kind of nasty.
Yeah, he is.
Yeah, but the later episode, he's a lot nastier. And we'll talk about that soon. But I like this episode. I would probably rate it still now like a 4 out of 5.
Agreed. I remember like back then I really liked the design of Juice, but I also think that was kind of the first time I started to notice how like all the black people had electrical powers.
Yes. Which I realize now that I hope that we start to change that narrative to energy powers, because it seems that to be the route. Let's get that going, so that way I always have more black energy characters. The next episode was one I actually am a really big fan of. That kind of makes sense. So this was called Darkheart, and it was written by Warren Ellis, and it was directed by Dan Reba, and this episode is about basically a alien technology that's this nanotech that has been like living underground, and it has these waves of self-replicating robots that are really hard to destroy. All the League is out there. They get the Atom to come in and help fight the robots and stop them from the inside. I like this episode a lot. Y'all know I love a good robot like destruction. Everybody gets to be out there kind of fighting, and I think I like those so much because again, the heroes get to like be as powerful as they want to be, and they get to show a lot of their teamwork. This episode also had a really funny moment where Batman was in the air getting like attacked by all these robots, and on his plane he got eject himself and like he's falling.
He's flying. He's like, can somebody come and help me? Because I can't.
I thought that was so. He's like, I'm falling. Can somebody help me? Because I can't fly. And he's like falling for a while. He's like, now would be nice.
It's like, yeah. They're like, calm down, Bruce. We got you, but we got to make
Yeah,
sure we
and
doing first.
Superman got him. I thought that was great. And like a lot of the Atom stuff. I wanted to ask you, how do you feel about the Atom as the kind of resident shrinking, growing fan?
So I don't really care for the Atom, but that's because I don't really like when the characters only shrink. I like characters when they get big. If shrinking like is a thing of that, okay, cool. But like I can't like prefer characters who grow. Shrinkers,
Not so much.
yeah. When like you just
Okay.
get small, okay. And I remember he used to have like a power where he like I don't know if he still does it, but when he would travel through telephone lines, I always thought that was so weird.
Oh yeah, he did have that power. That is kind of weird.
Yeah. I was like, I'll never forget the first time I saw that. I was like, when somebody told me he could do that, I said, no, I don't. I don't want to.
I hope they got rid of that. I haven't seen him do that in a while, but I did think that was weird. But I did think it was cool again to kind of find a way for the animated series to give a character like the Atom the shine. You know, it wasn't Superman saving the day. They did have the Atom come in and help out there. I
Yeah.
thought that was really cool. And like I said, everybody out there had their moments. You had the Ray out there, Dr. Fate,
Mm-hmm.
Vixen, Wildcat.
Kings, Queens, King again. I love me some Wildcat.
Everybody
That's a
was out
team right
there. That's
there.
great.
I wish DC liked to switch it up and like mix more people together. That would be hot.
hmm I think we need more team books over at DC. Not solos. I think we need more teams. All right, but the next episode, now this is the one where Aquaman is being nasty. This one was called Wake the Dead, and the story was written by Dwayne McDuffie and Bruce Timm, and the teleplay was by Dwayne McDuffie. And this episode was a group of high school students accidentally resurrect Solomon Grundy, but they've made him way more powerful than he was previously, and he doesn't have any of his memories of the past. Dr. Fate is, at his like sanctum or whatever. Aquaman and Hawkgirl are like playing chess, and Aquaman is just reading her the entire time, saying she sucks. He said, I have better repartee with the robot, even though the robot was in the room. Like that
What?
was mean.
I thought you would appreciate that since you don't like all girl.
I did. I didn't say it was bad. I said I didn't appreciate it. He was just being nasty. I was like, ooh,
yeah, he
was. But they go out and end up having to assist the Justice League, who is Vixen and Green Lantern, who I really do love them as a couple. I really wish that was like canon in the comics and like a thing. I think they make a great couple, and I also love a fun, superhero couple when they're like on a mission together on the team. And
okay.
Yeah, I think that's fun.
Having a good time.
But they go out there, yeah, being superheroes together. I think it's nice. And they go out there, they're kind of not doing well against Grundy. And Dr. Fate tries to come in. He's not strong enough. Amazo comes in. He freaks out because he's not strong enough. He teleports himself away. And Hawkgirl is like, okay, well, I know my mace can disrupt magic. She ends up having to, put him down, for lack of better words. And by the end of it, Hawkgirl gets admitted back into the Justice League, even though people don't really like her from the previous season because of being a traitor.
Hey, call it like we see it.
Yeah, it's what she deserved. But the final two episodes were the two-parter, and these were both written by Dwayne McDuffie. I assume both the story and teleplay. Shout out to Dwayne McDuffie. GOAT.
Yeah, I was just
truly
one
of my favorite like creators of all time. Probably one of my biggest influences. Him and Issa Rae are my biggest like.
Come on, talent. We love to see it.
But this episodes 12 and 13 were the two parters. Is called The Once and Future Thing. Part Weird Western Tales was part 1, and part 2 was Time and Warped, where basically there's this character named Kronos who like is going around stealing things from all throughout time, things that people wouldn't really forget, like random versions of the Magna Carta or any other random artifacts. But of course things go haywire. He ends up going back, and the Justice League like catch him trying to, I think he's trying to steal Batman's utility belt, and they catch him. They all end up back in the Old West, but then someone else ends up using his tech because, of course, when he got there, Kronos, he was just like a regular man, and so they beat him up and stole all his tech. And while they're there, the Justice League, of course, are being heroes and having some fun little banter there, but they end up trying to stop Kronos. We go to the next episode where this one is in the future, where they meet Warhawk, who is the kid of Green Lantern and Hawkgirl. They also meet a middle-aged Static, which shout out to that.
Yeah, that was cool.
As well as old man Batman, which I thought was funny to see. I love this episode because Static and Green Lantern together.
I do remember really being into the Warhawk thing of it being Shira and John's son, and just like that whole design. But I like a lot of the bird characters now that I think about it, like Hawkman, Hawkgirl, Golden Eagle when they was around, Falcon, which is like really interesting because I don't like birds in real life.
Like a bird. That's wild. You don't like birds in real life.
I don't like I hate birds in real life.
That I know.
So it's just been really interesting though. But I love like a bird type of character.
Avian character. Okay.
Mm-hmm. I don't know. Life's funny.
About this Hawkgirl. I don't know. So allegedly, there are multiple?
Yes. There's Shira, Shira, and Kendra. Although Kendra is kind of like a reincarnated descendant of Shira. And eventually she went back to being Shira. But then I think when DC reset itself, they just created a separate Kendra. It was a thing.
What? What did you just say?
Because Kendra was like dying and the spirit of Shira like entered her body. Mm-hmm. But like she was still herself. But like she got all of that like reincarnation stuff in her, and so like her and Hawkman were drawn to each other, but she was like, I'm not her, like I don't know what you want me to do, I gotta live my own life. They tried it, she's dated other people, but then like during Brightest Day they brought Shira back and she was like, it's me, I'm alive again. But then that's when they switched over to the Earth 2 universe and they created Kendra, and I
knew Kendra from Earth 2.
Yeah, she was Kendra Saunders there. But since then, I believe she has been brought back over to the main universe. So there's Shira and Kendra both existing.
And they are both sharing the same like spirit of Shira?
Two separate girls now. Like, it's done.
And they're both Hawkgirl, Hawkwoman, or?
Depending on what the writers want to do. She's done the Hawkwoman thing. She's been Hawkgirl again. I don't know. So did you see that DC released like a slate of comic books that they have coming out, and that's when they announced the new Titan series and Cyborg series and all that. Apparently, there was a version of that released that is lighter, and you could see more stuff. And one of the things that's supposed to be coming, the Hawkman series. So we might get some more insight into what's going on with all of them there. But we gotta see who's writing it first. Although DC has like a nice little roster of writers.
They do, as well as artists too. And I expect that Hawkgirl to be in that. She was just in I forget, one of those one shots for the Justice League. And I really liked her design.
I remember that.
Is that Shira? I like her. I might like her.
I gotta go back and read it. I remember seeing that, and like I actually want to say I read it, but I can't remember if it was Shira or Kendra. I felt like they were calling her Kendra though.
I thought so too. I don't know.
I think that might have been Kendra, because that's been one of the things since they separated them. They very much made Kendra like a brown skin girl.
Yeah. Okay. I like Kendra, I think, there. I don't think I like Shira.
Okay, that's fine.
I definitely don't like her and John together. Y'all can let that go.
And Shira. There's also Shira. So Shira is the version that was with Kator Hall, which are the original Egyptian characters.
Right.
Then there is Kator again and Shira, and those are the Thanagarian versions. However, the writers have kind of come to make it so that like they are the same because he's reincarnating through space and time.
Gotcha. Okay. Which do you prefer, Thanagarian or Egyptian?
Egyptian. I like
Yeah.
the reincarnation angle. I think it gives you more opportunities to bring Carter back. It's like different but the same. And
Hmm.
I got a thing for Egyptian mythology too, so I think that's really cool. So like them finding the nymph metal and then doing what they need to do to become the Hawk people and then getting lost in it. And plus, it's also got the power of love, and I love that trope.
It's beautiful. Yeah.
Eternal love, always finding each other. Ah,
Hmm. Do they love each other, or do they still kind of fight the? Do they fight the like? Oh, we don't want to do destiny. Like I know that we were together before, but we can't do that
oh
now.
no, it very much gives like we gonna be together forever.
I
Kendra was the
like
first
that.
time. Kendra was the first time where it came around, and it was like, oh no, I can't do this. Like I'm not supposed to be with you. I don't think I'm supposed to be with you. But she comes around.
Sometimes it take a little time, but they come around. What would you have rate these last few episodes here in this like season
I
of
will.
Justice League?
I will also continue around the lines of like 3.5, 4 out of 5s. I thought that like the cartoon continuously was good and well done. I think Duffy McDuffie doing these last few episodes and things like that was also really a testament to just how good it was. He is the GOAT. He is a great writer. He does good
Can't
stuff. And yeah, I think you can
use.
also tell with the characters that he used. He had a type and he liked his stuff.
John was
So it
gonna be
was,
right there. Vixen was gonna be right
yeah, I
there.
was to say Victor was going to be right there. John was going to be right there. Like, he knew what he was doing. I really liked him. Great cartoon. I'm going to miss it. I can't believe HBO Max is taking it off their service.
Such a wild thing. I'm gonna try to watch as much more as I can before it's completely taken off. I I mean, love this show. This is such a like an impactful show, I think, for a lot of people. To people
Yeah,
who are just reading or getting into Green Lantern, like this is John is their Green Lantern because of this show. Now,
very
John is
much
also
so.
like seen because of this show, but we could fix
Yeah,
that. We've come away at
yeah, he's
least I
definitely
think enough.
old.
We could fix
You
that.
can probably put him in like his 40s now.
How old is Batman? If uh John is in his 40s.
50s.
Okay, this makes sense.
I
Yeah, how old is
mean,
Vixen?
oh, she old too. They all
I guess we
old.
can. Oh,
All the leaders are old. Like, I think if that is one thing that DC has been very consistent to like let you know is that the league is old. Like
yeah.
they not no
They in their
cool
40s.
chickens. You're not coming around talking about oh they 26, 27. Nah, like the youngest one is probably 38. And
Damn,
that's like
I was gonna say the youngest one was like 32. Nobody's like younger than 30.
who's 32?
You know,
Supergirl?
who's yeah, like Supergirl's like 30.
Okay, Supergirl. But like when you get to the people above her, Clark and them, they 50s and
They
older.
50. Yeah.
They're like the
Clark is
again.
Emma's age.
Okay, well,
I'm making the
of
comparison.
that next generation, I would say the youngest person is 38. Not count like I think once you get to like the Supergirls, the Karas, and all that, you started to like drop down your generation. So yeah, they're going to be a little bit older, but still young. When you get to the people who are with Clark, Bruce, Diana, Ollie, Dinah, Vixen, all of them, like 38, yeah, maybe is the youngest for them.
Then how old are the Titans 30?
The Titans should be 30. Titans should be like late 20s, early 30s,
Mm-hmm.
especially if Supergirl's 30.
Yes, I agree with that. It's which makes me feel like this whole thing, this push with the Titans to become like their actual thing.
The team.
Yeah. Although like they're trying to make this seem as if like, oh, the Titans are growing up now, even though they all been old for
They've
like
been grown. Ollie got kids.
yeah.
Ollie Wally.
I know what you meant. Wally
uh,
got kids.
yeah, Wally got kids. They've been grown. They've done the whole grown thing. They was grown in their book.
Exactly. I feel like they're just finally like making an
Saying that
initiative to
they're.
say
I don't know how I feel about that series though. I won't lie to you. You know, I go kind of touch and go on
Mm.
Tom Taylor, his writing. And
Uh,
while I am a huge Titans fan, I've also always been of the mind that I don't think that team should still be the Titans. I do think that they should evolve and move on. And if they're going to like do this thing and be a league, I think you should just let them be the Justice League then.
mhm. I saw some Wally West Flash stan posted that picture of all of them like dressed in like these very nice clothes and they're like posing in front of their old picture and was like,
Um,
look at Wally hanging with his friends who don't want to grow up past high school. Always
like
reminiscing about high school.
that's what it's given. It's like, no, y'all can go do other things now. Like, please be serious. Although the Starfire design looks good.
I did like it. I mean, basically everybody got just like a modernized version of the new Teen Titans costume.
As most DC characters do. They don't go too far beyond their regular looks. Those are
Yeah, not everybody has them. Y'all keep got to at least lay off my girl Rogue in her 90s costume. It's just iconic. Okay.
nah, that needs to go. I'm sorry.
She does need to change, yes, but some people just have iconic looks. Everybody doesn't have that. She does. Okay.
And sometimes a blessing is a curse.
You know what? Let's go ahead and take a break and then we'll come right back.
That's cool.
All right, y'all, and welcome back to another relaunch. And this is the relaunch section of the show. And this week, I'm going to be doing a character close up. And the character I'm doing is Finesse. Now, some people may be familiar with her, some may not be. Some may not be surprised about why I picked her. If you know me as a comic book reader, she is the daughter of Taskmaster. Now, this character was created by Christos Gage and Mike McKelvie, and she made her debut in Avengers Academy #1 in June of 2010. Now it's very similar to Taskmaster, where she has like the photo. I don't know if they had a word yet. You know how they always make up words for people's superpowers, like Atmos kinesis and all this other kind of stuff. Like I don't know if they've I don't know if they've made anything up specific to like do her like photo, like copy or
The
kinesthetics or whatever
mimicry.
you want to
I
call
feel
it.
like they do
Yeah,
because I feel like I've seen it referenced with Echo before, but I just can't think of what it's called right now.
yeah, like a photographic reflex.
Basically,
Either
photographic memory
I don't know.
reflex.
Yeah. Either way, she got those abilities, and she was actually. It was kind of unclear in the beginning about where her powers and her parentage kind of came from. It was like supposed to be this big secret, and then like they said that her parents were criminals who worked under Taskmaster, and she was known to have these abilities at a young age, and she ended up getting like basically recruited by Taskmaster, who kind of like I don't want to say like taught her everything she knows, but like he recruited her and there was another girl there, I mean another student there who was like being tortured. His name was Jeremy Briggs. And so like Osborn, this was doing this whole what was this takeover called?
Dark Reign.
Dark Reign, yes. During his
The
Dark Reign
iconic.
era. Yeah. During his whole Dark Reign era where he was just being a very nasty man. And so she was under Osborn, but then later on, Avengers Academy is created, and she, along with a few other students who were also tortured by Osborn, were accepted into Avengers Academy, and that's where most people would know her from. Um, she's cool with Hazmat and Reptile, and one of the issues for Avengers Academy, her and Reptile are married in the future. They had a kid, but got divorced. And yeah, I think she's a really fun character. Now, I think she is someone who I think could be used to kind of put a kind of a battery in the back of the younger characters, in my opinion. Her most recent appearances actually have been in the Wasp series, not Hope. I'm sorry, not Hope. That's not her name. Not Janet, but Nadia Van Dyne's series, The Unstoppable Wasp from 2019. Now, in this series, she was a part of AIM and was sent out to kind of
Mm.
kidnap the Wasp team that she had built over
Mm.
there. And so she was kind of doing some villainous things. Of course, by the end of it, They stop AIM and, of course, ask Finesse to help them out. So she kind of stayed over there with them for a bit as their bodyguard. And
Naturally.
her kind of being with AIM really showed me that she kind of could kind of fill her dad's spot, but for like the younger characters. So
Okay.
the way I would relaunch her is, I know people have always heard me talk about that Taskmaster mini by Jen McKay. Loved it.
Yeah, it was good. It was good.
What made me really think about Finesse was that I thought like, oh, it would have been cool if she was in it, and if they were to ever do another ongoing, I think that, or at least a mini series for Taskmaster, Finesse should be in it, and Taskmaster should basically be in his girl dad era, where he is being like, the nurturing father and everything, but they're still villains. Like, this is a redemption thing about anyone.
Okay.
She's still, got that edge to her.
Thing.
She's not really trying to be a hero. He is still being Taskmaster. I think it would be really cute if he is like, I want you to take over the family business of being a villain. And also, as well as the way that he used to train all the bodyguards for all the other villains. I think that would be great for her to like, maybe intern at his company or something. That would be cute.
Okay.
I think
that could be cool.
It would really boost her up, and I think that she could make a great villain for the like champions, or any of those kind of like young characters.
The younger kids, they need a couple of like villains their own age, so I can see that. And they've met before in the comics, right? I feel like I've seen those panels. No, Finesse and Taskmaster. I feel like I've seen them fighting each other before.
They have. So they had one in the Avengers Academy era where they met, but like again, it was still left to be like up in the air whether or not Taskmaster was actually her father, because he says that while I am remembering new memories, like it erases previous memories from my mind. So he couldn't remember her birthday. He couldn't even remember like yesterday. So he's like, I can't even call it. But of course, he was like, based on your movements, like I think you are my daughter. Which I think that was also the thing with Finesse later on, like she in the future with her and Reptile when they were together, she lost her like wanting to be around other people because she couldn't like feel them, so she would like or like remember them. Her memory was like gone. She just like base who you were off of how you moved, and like that could be how she like signaled that. So I think that was kind of show you like the downside to their abilities is they lose.
That's actually kind of interesting. Shout out to her and Reptile too. He's the king. He actually had an Infinity comic that came out this week, and the cousin Ava, the Princess of Magic, she was in it. You guys should check that out too if you haven't read it.
Oh, that's right. Good for them for continuing to use Ava and Reptile. That's great.
Yeah, they're cool. I stand for them. But and Finesse, she could pop up in one of his little stories too, and deal with that little relationship, especially if she's gonna be a bad girl. But he could be the one that turns her to the path of good, true love.
He could try. I think that could be great. But yeah, I think everyone should really check out Finesse. I think she's a really cool character, especially for those younger ones. We don't need to continue to constantly make new ones. There are plenty of them out there for you to kind of reach back in the past and bring up to the forefront.
That's true.
All right, y'all. Well, that brings us to the end of the show. Please make sure you rate and subscribe us wherever you get your podcasts. You can find us on Twitter and Instagram at Another Relaunch. You can find us on YouTube at Another Relaunch TV. You can email us anything at anotherrelaunch@gmail.com. You can find me on most social media platforms at UncannyLZ. Keenan, where can they find you?
You guys know you can find me on Twitter and Instagram at Keenan Lance. As always, there's an underscore at the end.
Boom. All right, y'all. Let's get up out of here, and we'll catch you next week.
Peace.
Bye.